Hey guys, this is Stephanie and I'm Stacks on Stacks on Stacks. Today I'm coming to you guys with my 2021 resolutions. I don't do resolutions really in my personal life. I just try to make like permanent positive changes. Maybe I'm just old enough that I've learned that when I make a resolution, I don't do them. So I do them for what I read though. So there's that. So last year's resolutions, I had 8 apparently. I wanted to read 100 books. I did that. I wanted to read 60 of my own books, and I did do that as well. I wanted to do 4 videos a month. I didn't do that. I wanted to buy fewer books, under 100. I did do that. I have a haul coming from books I got for Christmas. So I got some gift cards for Christmas, and I bought myself a bunch of books. So I'm pretty sure with those books and then the one book haul that I had last year, I'm under 100. If not, I'm really close. Number 5 is read 20 books from my mug, which is a bowl now, not a mug. And I did do that, and I didn't think I was going to, but I did. And I'll talk about that in my TBR game video to come. Number 6, reread more series. I reread more books, so I'm going to count that as a win. Number 7, Monday reads. I'm supposed to do a Monday reads every 4 books. I did not do that. As a matter of fact, I don't think I talked about any of the books I read, like the entire second half of last year. Like I started posting pictures on Instagram when I finished a book. I'd be like, I read this book and these are my thoughts on it. But I didn't do any videos. So I'm probably going to keep doing the Instagram thing. Hopefully. Sometimes I'm like a week behind, but I guess better late than never. So if you want to be more up to date on that, go follow me there. I am going to try and resolute to do that. Just put the picture of the book and a couple of thoughts in my reading and stuff like that. I do want to do more videos this year, but we'll talk about that later. But that is my apology, guys. I am really sorry. I was busy the second half of the year with good things, and I didn't have time to film videos, and I didn't really talk about all of the books that I read the second half of last year. If you guys want me to do some videos on some of the best ones I read, I can do that, but we'll see. And then number 8 was read 5 classics that do not count as Agatha Christie's. And I did do that too. So ding-ling-a-ling. I got most of these. So happy for that. I guess I got a passing grade, an A perhaps. Okay, so my 2021 resolutions. Number 1, read 100 books. It's a good just staple for me. I did read 114 books last year. So I surpassed my goal. Hooray for me. But I would like to read like about 100 books a year. If I don't make this goal, I don't really cry about it. It's just a thing. Number 2, read 60 of my own books. That is the same as last year's. I'd like to read 60 books that I already own. Sometimes I read a book and then I buy it. And then when I update my spreadsheet, it says that I read a book I owned. So maybe I need to do something different with that because that's not precisely my goal to read a book and then buy it. My goal is to read the book I already own. You get it. Number 3, make a video for every 5 books I read. I said 4 books last year. I say 5 books this year. I'm going to really try and do this. It keeps my videos shorter. And when my videos are shorter, I don't stress as much about editing them. Because I will make videos and then they'll be like 30 minutes. And I'm like, oh, that's so long. I can't edit that. And then I just don't. So, I don't know why you guys watch me sometimes. Okay. Probably because I'm a real person who has human life and things, and I love to read. I do, but sometimes I don't have time, and so I'm not reading. And sometimes I'd rather watch TV, and sometimes I'd rather hang out with my friends, and sometimes I'd rather do nothing because I do that. So number 4 is to reread some books and some series. So I did quite a few rereads last year. I think I reread 24 books, which I felt like I reread more than that. But I'll talk to you about that in a minute. I do want to do some rereads, and instead of just saying, I want to reread books like I did last year, I'm actually picking some specific ones that I want to reread. First one I want to reread is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. This is my favorite Brandon Sanderson. It's such a pretty cover. And this one, it is high fantasy, and there's a great magic system as well. Oh, just looking at the words makes me want to read it. This one we're following quite a few characters. We're two sisters, Ciri and Vivenna, who are like princesses. And Vivenna is older, so she used to be married off into this like neighboring country. And Vivenna is like the typical youngest child who's carefree and kind of just does what she wants. And she's so pretty and everybody loves her. Well, things get switched around and Ciri ends up going to be married to this guy. And Vivenna is like, I need to save her from that, and I need to be the good big sister I'm supposed to be. So she goes after to save her sister. And we have many other characters in here. We have magic. We have beautiful stories and beautiful relationships, and I want to reread it so much. I also want to reread Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss so that I can finally read Wise Man's Fear, also by Patrick Rothfuss. I know that the third book doesn't have, like, a release date yet, and I don't really care. I've just never read the second one, and I've always wanted to. Plus, I wanted to reread this last year. Oh, I love this copy. It makes me so happy. I'm going to reread this so I can read this. This follows a guy named Kvolth, who it kind of like chronicles his life story, and he's a bartender, I think. And this guy comes in, he's like, I want to know your life story, and Kvolth, after some prompting, is like, oh, okay, and talks to him about his life story. And that sounds boring, but it's not. It's an exciting life story, and there's magic and sadness, and it's a good story. The next one I want to reread is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I'm noticing now as I'm looking over these, a lot of these were like my favorite reads like 3 years ago and 4 years ago. So I think I just am like, that was my favorite read. I want to reread that. This one kind of follows a Hollywood starlet. Oh, this was Book of the Month. I just realized that. I got this at a used bookstore, so I didn't know that. So this follows a Hollywood starlet and her coming to fame in the 50s. And then it kind of follows her life by each husband. So she has 7 husbands, and we follow the first one, and we see what happened in that marriage, and the second, and the third. And there are a lot of surprises, and there are a lot of just things you don't expect. Things that aren't on the front page of the paper. What really goes on in her life, who she really is. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story that I want to reread. I am also going to be rereading my Let's try this again. My Harry Potter books. These are my Bloomsbury ones, and these are beautiful. I've had these many years, and I actually won't reread these exact ones because I don't want to crack the spine. But I have the hardbacks, the original hardbacks upstairs, and I'll reread those instead. I'm going to show them to you one at a time because they're so pretty. Apparently backwards. I'm going to reread these. I will read them, and I'll listen to them. Jim Dale narrates them. I love the narration. And yeah, I am excited to reread them. I usually read these about every other year or so, and they're so fun. This one's my favorite. Azkaban's my favorite. I was rewatching them in December. I'll probably continue my rewatching because I didn't finish that either. But I usually rewatch them in December, and I reread them about every 2 years. They're Harry Potter. If you don't know who it is, you've been living under a rock. Get out from underneath the rock. Read the books. And I also want to reread the selection series. And I know this sounds so simple. I'm only going to reread the first 3 books, and then the third one is the novellas. Or the novellas? Yeah, just the short stories and the novellas. So, the selection series, that's book 1, book 2. I am failing at this today. Book 3. And then our short story collection is, I mean, people call it, it's not smut. People call it smut or easy book. It's just, it's a really quick read. And it's a girl with a pretty dress, which you can't see. There, you can see it. And basically, it's kind of like The Bachelor meets like royalty. So like this king has to find a queen, a wife. And they have in this world like a caste system. And so they have your higher class, your 1s, 2s, 3s, your 4s, your 5s. And each class generally has like certain occupations for these jobs and stuff like that. And we're following America, and she's like a 5. I think it goes down to 7. I think she's the lowest class that they have, though, included in the women that are included in this tournament. I don't know what to call it. And then, like The Bachelor, he, every week or so, he, sends a few away and is like, no. It sounds kind of dumb, but it's not. And it's easy reading. It's a quick read. And I kind of wanted to read it this last year. I didn't get around to it, so I'm going to read it this year. I'm probably also going to reread a bunch of the Princess Diary books. I started that last year. I read like 3, 4. I don't remember now. But I'm going to just pick up where I left off. I think I've read the first 6 or 7, but I'd like to complete that series. And I also would like to finish some series that I started. That would be number 5, and I wrote down specific ones on my paper. I don't have the second and the third in this series, but The Bear and the Nightingale is the first. I don't even remember what the second or third are called because I'm that with it. But I want to finish this series. I don't think I'll have to reread this book. I read it 2 years ago maybe, but I still remember it. Like, I remember it really well. So I don't think I'll be rereading it, but I do want to continue on finish that series. I also won't be rereading the first one in the Grisha series, but I will read number 2 and number 3 this year as well. I don't think I need to reread the first one. I remember it pretty well. But Leigh Bardugo is an author that I enjoy, so I do anticipate enjoying these books as well. I also have on the books to read Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson, this chunker. I did read Way of Kings this year, so number 2 is slated for this year for me. This thing is huge. Like, it is gargantuan. So it's well over 1,000 pages. So I am looking forward to reading this one this year. I might just do one a year. I don't know. I do think I'm going to be ready for more serious books soon. So I could read Oathbringer as well. I'm not going to promise anything. I also wanted to get to the Remnant Chronicles. I don't know where the first one is. I own it. I can't find it. But here's the second and third one. I've heard nothing but good things about this. I don't think I've actually heard anybody who didn't like this series. It follows a girl who's supposed to be marrying like a prince, and it's like her wedding day, and she's like, you know what, I don't want to do this. So she runs away, and then an assassin is sent after her, and then the prince goes after her. So in this book you have those 3 points of view, but you don't know which is the assassin, which is the prince. You do know which is the girl. So I think it's supposed to be fun because you don't know who's who, and you're obviously rooting for her to not die. And I haven't read it. I need to read it. But this is a series that I'd like to read this year. Another series, I picked 3 series that I haven't started that I'd like to not just start, but finish. We will see. Is the Lux series. And this is by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I've been wanting to read more Jennifer L. Armentrout. I was looking into it a lot in the last month and a half or so. So here's the thing. She has written a bajillion series. And you sometimes have to read one series before you can start another series. So I feel like I didn't know exactly where to start. So I actually started 3 different books by her, only to find out that you have to read this other series for this series is going to make sense. And so I put them back down because, you know, I like to do things in order. So I went ahead and I have started the first one, which is why I don't have it here. It's upstairs. And the other thing I've discovered about Jennifer L. Armentrout is her covers are the ugliest things known to man. Like, these are terrible covers. There's nothing appealing about these covers. And basically every cover of almost all of her books, she has these like posed human, they're not good. They're not good. So I think she needs to hire somebody different. Maybe it's like her brother-in-law or somebody who makes these covers for her, but she needs to hire out because her books are good, but her covers are not. But these are following, all I really know about these, I don't know much. They're old. They're from like probably about 10 years ago now. They follow a girl who moves into like a small town and discovers that her neighbors are aliens or something like that. I'm not really sure about it, but I started the first one and we will see. I also want to pick up the Laini Taylor Smoke and Bone trilogy. You have Smoke and Bone, Blood and Starlight, and Gods and Monsters. I mean, these covers are just gorgeous. They're just gorgeous covers. I don't remember what this is about. I did a while ago, like when I made my list, but now I'm forgetting. A girl who works for a guy who collects teeth. I'm terrible at describing books, but I've had these for years. I've heard very good things, so I want to get to them this year. Then my very, very last one is number 6, read 5 classics and 5 Agatha Christie's. So I'm going to do both that, Agatha Christie's and classics. Sometimes I stray away from classics, so I like to remind myself that I need to read those. I used to give myself a goal of reading more nonfiction, but I actually seem to read a decent chunk. Like, I'll read like 7 or 8 nonfiction in a year without anybody twisting my arm. So bully for me. Those are it for my resolutions. Just a little bit about my reading last year. I don't know about you guys, but 2020 was a little bit of a stressful year. The first 3 months were okay for me reading wise. I was reading whatever. And then once pandemic-y things started to hit, I wasn't allowed to work for about 8 weeks, which really sucked. And I was reading quite a bit, but I was reading like rereads. And then I started picking up contemporaries and, of all things, romances, which I never read romances. I don't like romances. I don't like books that are predictable. I don't like books that are formulaic. It's not my thing. And not only was I picking them up, but I was liking them. Crazy, right? Basically, I think my head was in a space where I needed to know that everything I picked up, I needed to know like either how it was going to end or that it was going to end well. I couldn't do serious. Like I can't tell you how many fiction I picked up and I just put them back down again. Even Way of Kings, which is an incredible book, was a struggle for me to get through because it was too dense. It was too serious. It was too much. Now I've been crawling out of that over the last few weeks and I've been feeling like, yeah, I can read more. I can do more. So I'm excited to encounter that side of Stephanie once again and be able to read my wide variety that I normally read because I read a lot of contemporary and a lot of romance last year. Like I said, I think I just needed to know how it was going to end. And when you pick up a romance, I feel like you know that it's going to end happily. Like, it may not be predictable, it probably will be, but it's going to end happily. And I needed to know that everything I picked up was going to be a happy ending. No pun intended. But I will talk about that in a different video in a few weeks. So that is it for my resolutions. I'm keeping them pretty simple nowadays. I try not to do extravagant ones. I don't really do ones for my channel except for myself, like what videos, like shorter videos and things like that. But why don't you guys let me know what one of your bookish resolutions are for this year, whether it's how many books you want to read or maybe a genre you want to explore more of, whatever it is, I'm totally interested. Put it down below. And I am not opposed to adding a resolution. So if you are like, Steph, you should do this, by all means, suggest it down below and I will consider. And if I change it, I will let you guys know because 6 isn't too many. 6 isn't overwhelming. I can live with 6. So these are my resolutions and I totally want to know yours. Please put those down below. Have an awesome day. Like, subscribe, share, do all that awesome stuff and I'll talk to you guys soon. Goodbye.